This, this, they don't care, I guess. I don't know. I mean, how are they gonna prove though that I didn't buy these books on Humble Bundle? They have book bundles on there, and they come as PDF format or EPUB format, and generally PDF, so you can read it on your computer. But yeah, there's like no way in hell they can prove that this is a pirated version of a book. It's just like impossible to do.
I don't know. YouTube was able to tell who pirated music on their channel, for example.
That's different, bro. It's different. Like if they have
same concept, similar technology. If they can detect music, why couldn't they detect words of a book? That's what I mean.
Yes, but they don't know that I didn't buy this book off of some other party. That's the thing. If I bought this book off of a legitimate source and paid money for it off of a legitimate place, it'll still come in the same format that these books are. There's no way to tell whether I purchased this or not.
Well, some books don't come in PDF. Some of those books that you download, I've downloaded before. I mean, 3,000 books in one little thing, whatever. And a lot of those are junk scans.
Well, these are EPUB formats,
Okay.
and a very good chance that, and even some of these are PDF. But there's still a really good chance that person may have originally purchased it or acquired it through some kind of means, official means, and then just release it to everybody. I think that these are probably some of the easiest things to pirate. But even still, then I don't think there's any way that they can determine whether or not I actually paid for it. They can determine whether or not it's a legitimate copy, perhaps, but even then, I don't know if they have advanced enough software to algorithms to determine whether or not it's like what it all is. I don't know.
You're probably right. But
I'm pretty sure a majority of these, especially since they're EPUB format, there's no way to differentiate it between the fact that I pirated them and the fact of what a legitimate download or legitimate purchase would look like. I'm sure there's ways. If it was a really crappy copy, they could obviously tag the files, because like if it reads through all the text in there, it can obviously pull out parts of it that it recognizes, like what book it comes from. There's technology to recognize, words and phrases. Like there's anti-plagiarism stuff out there that teachers use, So, like there are ways to scan and to recognize and find out what thing of work it is. But if it's not some jacked up copy, if it looks exactly like a legitimate copy, then there's no way for them to determine if I have a legitimate paid copy or not. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so yeah, I got that going here on my phone. Just I got some good educational books and a lot of entertainment books. You know the Ender's Game?
no.
There was a movie recently called Ender's Game, but there's an entire book series about it. The whole, like, saga. And I got that, and I got Brave New World, which is a book from, like, 1932. And Yeah, and then I got these Steve McHugh ones that are the Harlequin Chronicles. It's like some kind of thief mage thing. This guy, the main character, does like magic. Some shit. I don't know. Somewhat interesting. There was a bunch more books that I wanted to go through and pick up, but I got tired of looking for a little bit and I just took a break. Oh, and 2001 The Space Odyssey?
The movie series, I think, right?
Well, it was just one movie, but it was a movie that was actually based off of a book. But the book is a series. It's 2001 A Space Odyssey, and then 2010, and then 2061, and then 3001 is the final book in the series. But I downloaded that entire thing. Got those on here. Good to go with those.
I'm gonna start doing sugar piece activities.
So much power.
My download machine is broken. I don't know what's wrong with it yet. It's been broken for a little bit and I just haven't messed with it.
Your download machine, huh?
Yeah, I use a dedicated machine to do my downloads. I don't put downloads on my regular workstation or gaming machine or anything.
Yeah, okay. You mean downloads or pirating?
Both.
Okay. So those account-bound inventory slots or account-wide inventory slots, is that really recent? Because I was watching that Wooden Potatoes guy in one of his videos because I was trying to find the DPS thing that you were talking about. And anyways, he said that like that was really recently released.
Yep, a couple weeks ago or so.
Yeah, that was like just before the major quarterly patch came out or something. Or just after, I don't remember, but I didn't realize that they were that recent. Must have been excited for them or something like that because you got them right away.
Yeah, it made sense for me to get them because of those.
Yeah, it made
perms.
sense for a lot of people. That's why it was released, because apparently a lot of people have been asking for something like that. Sorry, I interrupted you. You said that it makes sense for you to get because you got all those account-bound items, account-wide usage things. Yeah. Kind of already figured what you were saying, that you got those instant bank access and all this other stuff. Makes sense, makes sense.
Yep.
So I'm holding off on getting a modem and a router at the moment because I've been actually thinking about picking some up, but my parents obviously got to buy a new router because I've been paying Comcast this whole time, so I've been paying the $7.50 a month to rent the router, and so they really, I mean, they've mentioned multiple times that I should stop paying them the fucking rent and just get a modem, but obviously they're not gonna worry too much about it if I'm the one paying the bill. But when I leave here, they ain't gonna want to pay Comcast to rent the modem every month, so they're gonna have to buy a new modem. If they're gonna buy a new router or not, because the router that we currently have, like I told you yesterday, it works just fine. It's been going great for years.
Faster!
And but maybe they want a new one or whatever. So I gave them the option. I said, if you're gonna buy a new one, you gotta let me know, so I know whether or not I have to buy my own router, or if I just have to buy a router and a modem. And I looked at my local options for Craigslist. You're saying pick up a used one for cheap. That's not gonna happen. The kind of listings that I got from my area, it's complete trash compared to what you picked up with the options you showed me yesterday.
That blows.
Yeah, people around here, either they're greedy as fuck, which they are. They're a bunch of scumbag, shady, like, you know, two-timing fucks around here. But they all want like $40 for a used of the same version that you showed me. That guy was selling it for like 15 or 10.
Such might!
Quite honestly, it doesn't surprise me though. There's plenty of scumbags around here. So many scumbags that live around here. It's ridiculous.
Great! So much power!
That one listing that you showed me, or the search results, I found one listing on there that it was like $15 for basically what I currently have here at this house right now. And I was like, damn, that's such a good deal. I should send him the money on PayPal, and then he can buy it and then mail it to me. But I don't know if that's really such a great option. Could be. I mean, legitimately, it sounds like something that would work.
Yeah, just
All set!
shipping shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, but Craigslist, the thing is, you gotta meet the person. So you would have to, I would have to send you the money on PayPal, and then you'd have to go and meet the person, and then buy it from them in person, and then I would obviously pay for the shipping, and then you would ship it here. Be a whole thing. I'd be asking you to go out of your way to bother with this stranger or whatever. $15 for that thing, but it was really good condition though. From what I could see from the photo and what they were saying on the page, it seemed like it was people that took care of it, that didn't just slam it around a whole bunch or anything like that. And that was really cheap. But I still don't even know yet what I'm gonna be doing, because like I said, I don't know if my parents are gonna keep this router or if they're gonna try to get a new one. And if they're gonna try to get a new one, then I'll just take this one. Because it's a free option and it still works just fine in my opinion. There, I got a bunch of books on the phone now. Plenty of reading material.
Hip hip hooray.
Yeah, and one of the main reasons why I was doing that just today, because I was thinking about, like, if I get kind of tired and I'm not exactly ready to go to sleep, I can go lay down and do some reading before I go to sleep. And I've always enjoyed getting some reading done before I fall asleep anyways. It helps take your mind off any kind of stresses during the day just before you go to sleep in general. But I think it's gonna be much different reading on a phone than it is gonna be reading a real book. But nothing beats the smell of a real book, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how many books you actually read, but there's nothing like the smell of you know, I wouldn't say like a book that has been touched by everybody and their mother from like the library that's been fucked up or anything like that, but still, I mean, even older books that have been touched by God knows how many people from the library, if they're still have been treated properly and everything like that, it just got that old paper smell, you know? Guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Even newer ones, like just the paper. I don't know if they use different paper than normal, just writing paper and stuff. Seems like it. And then there's probably the glue for the binding probably adds to the whole aroma. I'm fucking talking about the smell of books like it's some kind of meal.
Well,
Describing a banquet.
people don't like to get rid of books because there's something special about them. Being able to dog tag them, being able to, feel, see, your eyes don't have any strain from them, those kinds of things.
Now your eyes still get strained.
Well, not as bad, maybe, I guess.
Just not from the light. Yeah, it's a different kind of strain, but you can still get eye strain from it.
My daughter will sit down and read, a 1,000-page book in a day or two.
That's it. I'd be reading straight encyclopedias every hour. I keep trying in my life to learn to speed read, because they say not only is it much more efficient, like you can read a lot faster, but you can also understand the material better, because the longer you take to read the material, and if you try to reread it, if you feel like you missed a section or whatever, or if you didn't understand it, because you're reading too slow, like you're trying too hard and stuff like that. When you do speed reading, it's all about, there's no inner voice inside your head. You don't like read it out loud inside your head or anything like that. You just understand it. But I'm a slow reader. I'm one of those slow readers, and unfortunately, so that means that I'm like reading it out loud inside my own head. So I hear myself reading it. But that's not natural, and that's not the way to read it, to retain it and to understand it the best. In order to do that, you should do the speed reading, which is just where you see the stuff, and you'll like have visualizations of what you're reading, but you don't actually, there's no words being said inside your head or anything like that. You know what I mean?
I like to, I have no idea if I'm close to speed reading, but I'll read stuff pretty fast. Way faster than my wife. And, she'll tell you first that she's just a slow reader. But then I'll, because part of it is skimming.
Sweet, sweet
It's a part of
treasure.
that. And I'll miss things because I'm skimming. times.
Yeah, sometimes I don't like missing things though.
You got a friend.
I feel like even the littlest things change the context of it completely. And sometimes when you're skim reading, and even if you just skip some things that seem insignificant and might change the entire meaning, the entire context might be taken differently than if you were to read every single word. But I don't think that's the point of speed reading. I think even when you're speed reading, you're reading every single word. It's just the way that you comprehend the words that you're reading and the way that you present them to yourself. Like I said, the slow reading is when you kind of read it out loud, but inside your head, you hear your own voice saying the words, kind of thing. And then the speed reading is where you just absorb the words without mulling over them.
Yeah.
So anyways, not only can you read a lot more material, but you can retain it a lot better. And you can understand it a lot better, apparently, with speed reading. So that's something that I've always tried to do, try to get into in my life. I could just never really accomplish it. But I know what they're saying, because when I feel like I don't understand something, I'll go back and reread it, then I feel even more lost. Kind of like you have no rhythm, you know? Kind of just throwing yourself off, and it makes it harder. Stupid fucking schools don't know how to teach children to read properly. Don't ever teach people the important things in life. I mean, hell, even doctors don't really ever give me good advice. The extent of their advice is to tell me to lose weight. Okay, well, how do I lose weight? Can we create a diet for me? Can we do this? Can we do that? Like, can we just like model my life? Can you take some time out of your fucking schedule to actually help me instead of just telling me what you think I should do? Like, which is just lose weight. Like, that's the extent of their advice. Instead of telling me, like, hell, even they don't understand a lot of times what they're really saying. They're just going by numbers. They're not actually looking at me as, like, a full person and seeing the things that I'm missing and the things that I need and what kind of activity levels and all these other things. Like, just so many factors that go into it.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they at least go into some detail.
They don't, because they're too busy trying to get to the next patient so they can charge more insurance cards per day. That's like their goal. But of podcasts and a lot of information. I was watching some of it today on what kind of diets you really want, and like not one doctor has told me to cut grains out of my diet. They haven't told me to stop eating pasta and bread, and yet they're telling me to lose weight. They just assume that I'm just supposed to be able to figure it out on my own. And yeah, with the internet and enough time invested into it and all these other things, yeah, I probably could figure it out on my own. But then I go back to the doctor. Oh wait, hold on, there's a phone call.
me! I will avenge you! Such might! Best fear me! Adrenaline surging!
Wow, these fucking cunts. They're like calling for like Des Freeman or some bullshit, and they're like, if you're not Des Freeman, just disregard this call. No, I'm not just gonna disregard it. I want you to take me off your fucking list, you stupid cunts. Whatever the fuck debt collector you are, whatever bullshit. And I sat there waiting for somebody to fucking pick up, and then the motherfuckers didn't pick up, and then when they finally did pick up, it just like they didn't say a damn word, and they just hung up on me.
Yeah, but the clicker called me right now that has the wrong number.
Just right now?
Yeah. They've called me a couple times in the last couple days. They called me today.
Well, I don't know about your phone, but my phone has the ability to block numbers. Like, block it from voice communication and text.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, just maybe do that then. Try calling these motherfuckers back.
Such might! Fear me! Such power! me!
Magnificent.
Holy shit. Why can't people learn how to speak English if they're gonna be a fucking phone representative? Ugh. It's so weird too because majority of the people that have English speaking phone jobs don't speak English. I mean, they speak some form of broken English, but they don't speak real English like that you can understand. It's so ridiculous that these people get hired. But I guess you can't discriminate. Oh no, it shouldn't be considered discrimination. It should be you're not qualified for this job because no one can understand you, and that's your entire job is to be understood. Anyways. Stupid callers.
Such might!
I don't know why I wasted my time trying to talk to her and tell her to take me off whatever list she has. I think at the end she said, "Are you still speaking?" And I'm like, "What? You still speaking?" I'm like, "What?" And I was like, "You're fucking retarded." And I hung up on her.
Or else.
I have found that they have the utmost patience. I've gotten so aggravated at those kind of people before, and they just keep on keeping their patience and their happy grin on.
Well, yeah, that's why they're also really, really good for trolling, like for fucking with them, and like just ranting. Like if you ever feel frustrated at any, I mean, well, obviously you're frustrated with them at the time that you're having a phone call with them, but I'm saying, like, if you're frustrated with something else in life, then you just go off on a tangent with them. Just go off about how, like, it's the devil's work or what you're doing, and just go off on this crazy rant, you know? Just go crazy on them, you know? Like, not necessarily screaming crazy, but just like, ridiculous, weird crazy. And then it's like amusing because now you're just fucking with them. That's what I like to do with representatives that I'm pissed off with. I like to waste their time by going off on tangents. Then again, most people don't have the luxury of being able to waste as much time as they want on the phone like I do, you know? Most like customers or people. But me, I could sit there and rant for an hour and I wouldn't give a fuck. Plus, the more that I rant to random customer service representatives, the less my friends have to hear me rant. Get it all out, you know? Get some vent your frustration about things that aren't even relevant to the phone call. This one time I called up a company, I think it was Samsung, just to ask them some very basic questions that had nothing to do with like requiring any kind of personal information or whatever. They were asking me for like my address, my name, my phone number, this and that, and like I just told them that I'm Jon Snow, and when they asked me for my zip code, like they were very adamant about giving my zip code, and I It's like, what the hell? That's not relevant to anything that I'm saying. So then finally I just said a bunch of numbers. Like I said, 1, 2, 6, 5, 1 or some shit. Like I just said some random numbers. That was the length of a zip code. I don't know if it registered in their side, but I just gave them a bunch of random numbers.
Yeah, I get frustrated sometimes, aggravated when I'm at a store and I just want to buy something. And I say, well, you don't need to know that. And they get all mad. I was like, why do you need to know that for? What are you
Yeah,
doing?
when they have a bunch of like survey questions that they're basically feeding you when you're just trying to get some service. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like getting challenged.
Well, somebody's got to stop and ask, you know, like, why the fuck are you doing this? Because if we're all just standing in line, like a bunch of sheep, just answering all their questions, just following with their bullshit, then they know that they can do it to people because no one wants to have a conflict. Right? That's the thing. Most people won't have a conflict. They'll tell you whatever information you want to know. They'll give you whatever stuff you want to know because they just want to get out of there and they don't want to get into an argument with you. So that's why they do that kind of stuff. And one of my pet peeves is when I'm talking to a customer service representative and they try to tell me something like, I understand your frustration, or I'm sorry for your inconvenience. Those kind of sayings. When they say that, I'm like, I don't care if you're sorry. I don't need your pity. I didn't ask for your... And usually I say, I know you don't give a shit. You're just supposed to say that. I know that you're just... That's every single customer service representative says the same thing. I don't believe you, and I don't need your pity, and I didn't ask for you to be sorry for me. I just want you to get done what I'm asking you to get done. Stop telling me how sorry you are. Stop telling me you understand my frustration, and just get done what I'm asking you to get done. But yeah, that tends to bother me when they get that fake, like, I understand your situation, sir. That kind of like fake interaction going on. Because it's not even their fault. The company requires it. It's like their policy. I know 100% for a fact because I worked as a customer service representative on the phone for Verizon Wireless. And it is 100% the company policy to just say those words even if you don't mean them. You're just programmed like a robot to say them over and over again. Every 2 seconds that a person says something that they are upset about or whatever, you just keep saying, I understand your frustration.
Ready.
That's why when I worked there, I didn't say that stuff. I said, well, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. I'm just kidding. I was doing the exact same robot bullshit of I understand your frustration and I'm sorry for your inconvenience.
Well, no, it becomes habit, but if people, you know, most people, at least some people, would actually care, even though it just becomes a habit.
You can't in those jobs, because if you do, you end up like me, spending an hour on the phone for each customer that you have. You get through like maybe 8 customers a day, and your quota, you're supposed to deal with like 30 people a day, you know, and like you get in trouble for that. You can't actually care, because I cared, and I would take time off of the phone, not even getting phone calls done like I'm supposed to, just to work on a customer's account and get things handled for them, and I would follow them up either the same day or the next day, and even if I couldn't get to them the same day, I'd contact them and let them know that I'd get back to them tomorrow. Like, I was the kind of customer service representative that doesn't exist. I was like a unicorn when it came to that bullshit. Like, it was ridiculous the amount of jeopardy I put my job in to go way out of my way to help customers that weren't really getting helped anywhere else. That's the thing. A lot of those people were super fucking lucky to finally have gotten connected to me, because I would go to all extents, even physically walking to another department in order to get something solved. And I got a couple customers that had been passed around from department to department of people that simply just didn't want to do the job, didn't want to put forth the effort of actually fixing the customer's problem. And the customer was beyond frustrated at that point, and I wasn't giving them my condolences. I was giving them solution. I was giving them my time, my effort, and like, that's what really shows and pays off if you really actually do care. So I know the difference from personal experience, and I also know that I feel proud of the way that I treated that job, and I feel proud of the way that I treated the customers that I did interact with. And yeah, I didn't reach the quota every day of how many people they wanted me to deal with, how many phone calls they wanted me to take, and I know that means that the queue was just longer for other customers, and that means that my other representatives were more overwhelmed. But at least I took care of the customers that I did get in contact with.
Good hunting.
That's what mattered to me. Anyways, yeah, that's extremely rare though. Like, to find somebody that's a customer service rep that treated people the way that I treated people, it's like winning the lottery, especially when you're having really bad problems with your account or your service. To have gotten me on the phone was like, you just hit the jackpot. But, you know, Verizon Wireless didn't fire me. Why they didn't fire me is because they actually did care about quality. I mean, they still wanted to get quotas done and everything, but they certainly cared about first call resolution. That was their biggest thing that they always were preaching to their representatives, was first call resolution. And the first time a customer calls in is the last time they should have to call in. I took that to extremes.
I worked at different help desks for about 3 years, doing anything from installing entire Windows OSs to whatever, representing many companies. That was before the days of remote technologies. So everything.
You had to walk them through it over the phone?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. I would want to kill myself, especially if they're somebody that doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and imagine doing that, telling them how to install Windows.
Well, I don't know which Windows version you're talking about, but the Windows 7 version that I have now, it's like amazingly easy now. I don't even know, man. It feels like there's even almost no options to set up anymore. Like, I don't have to go through all these prompts and bullshit. Like, it just fucking installs. I mean, I choose like my time zone, my username and my password, and that's like it, man. Then again, I'm using Windows 7 64-bit, some kind of pirated version. I don't think that has anything to do with the setup of the operating system, though, that it's pirated. But maybe it is. Maybe it's a custom install build, because you know that you can put packages into the Windows installer stuff. You can embed Service Pack 1 into it and all this. I forget what the actual name of it is, but
Yeah, they moved to everything being kind of image-based. And Windows 10 is even faster, easier to install.
yeah, I'm never gonna upgrade from Windows 7 though. That's the problem.
Faster!
I'm sure you will. Everybody always thinks that, even techies.
No, because none of the previous Windows versions had Cortana. So, I mean, that's a huge difference.
So you don't want to use Cortana, and you don't have to.
Come to me.
Okay? So I want to go through a bunch of tweaking and probably installing third-party applications to break Windows 10 into submission, so that way it's not sending all my information to Microsoft and they're not blocking me from playing pirated games and all this other bit. I don't want to go through all that, man. This just doesn't sound worth it whatsoever. Why the fuck do they have to put spying software into their Windows operating system anyways?
Who said they put spying software in it?
What do you think Cortana is? It sends all your information about everything that you do back to Microsoft. And if you have illegal software or pirated games or anything like that, it'll block it. It'll let Microsoft know, and then they'll shut it down. Shut down the game or the application or whatever it is. Maybe even shut down your OS. I don't know exactly the full extent of what it does, but I know that they put anti-pirating stuff in Cortana.
So what's your source for that?
What do you mean, what's my source for that? Everything that I've ever heard so far that has said anything about Windows 10 has always said that it has anti-piracy built into it.
That's what I mean. I mean, you gotta go by more than hearsay. It might be true, but if you don't have more than hearsay, then you owe it to yourself to look into it better.
I don't think it's just hearsay. I think that's exactly what Cortana does.
That means you don't know because you haven't looked past hearsay.
Oh, okay. So, if everybody tells me that Windows 7 has, I don't know, fucking Windows volume controller on it, but I haven't actually used it, I shouldn't believe it. I'm pretty sure that, previous version that I was using was Windows XP. I think I skipped Vista.
So if you go and ask people if iceberg lettuce is healthy, what do you think they're going to say? They're going to say yes. But you already proved to me that you know different than that.
Okay, I've read articles everywhere saying that there's anti-piracy. Okay, whatever you say, man. You're right. There's no anti-piracy. There's no spying that Microsoft is doing with any of the stuff. They're not sending any information back to Microsoft when you're using Windows 10. You're right.
I'm just saying, ever since even XP came out, all my tech buddies have said about the same thing as what you're saying now. XP, Vista, 7. It's kind of like a never-ending story.
I've never heard anything like this prior to Windows 10. And I've been following what operating systems do since Windows 2000, so I've never heard any of my any of the tech people that I've ever spoken to say anything about anything like that with any of the previous 10. I mean, with any of the previous Windows.
Okay, here's a MicrosoftITPro.com. Microsoft is not tracking your every waking moment with Windows 10. There's a big article on it. I don't know if you use that site, but I use that site. Here's softpd.com. Windows 10 preview allegedly acting as a keylogger. So let's say that Microsoft put that in there.
This is right here from the Microsoft Service Agreement. Sometimes you'll need software updates to keep using the services. We may automatically check your version of the software and download software updates or configuration changes, including those that prevent you from accessing the services, playing counterfeit games, or using unauthorized hardware peripheral devices. That's directly from the Microsoft Services Agreement.
Okay. I don't see anything wrong with that, though.
All set.
It just said right there, playing counterfeit games.
Do you know, I wonder how it checks to see if a game is counterfeit or not.
Faster.
Do you do the same thing with your phone?
I don't know what you mean.
Like a lot of phones use your location and stuff to recommend apps and restaurants near you and all that stuff.
Well, anytime it asks me for my location, I push block, if that's what you're asking.
Me too, usually. Anyhow, back to the point, Windows 10 installs and updates probably 10 times as fast as Windows 7, even though Windows 7 is pretty fast. Not 10 times, but I had a buddy here just the other day when actually that day that I installed Windows 10 on my gaming computer because it got messed up. Remember that day where I told you that? He started the Windows 7 install on a computer right next to me. Mine was I already had Guild Wars 2 installed and had it launched before he got past the screen where it's extracting and loading the files. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Let me show you my stuff.
Goodbye.
do one of the cheating dailies for PvP. There's some maps out there where you can just farm your dailies.
Hey, with Windows 10, did they keep the same start menu as Windows 7, or did they do that stupid bullshit Windows 8?
The actual start menu icon kind of looks like Windows 8, but you can choose between the tile interface or the desktop interface. So you still have a desktop like Windows 7.
Well, I mean, when you click on it, the actual menu.
You have some tiles on the right hand side, and on the left hand side of the start menu you have your most used applications, and then you have, you know, an all apps area, and then you can scroll down like your typical start menu.
Let's do
You put Windows 10 at your work?
No, everybody has Windows 7. I just have it on my laptop and my gaming machine. I almost tempted to use the free upgrade to Windows 10 and upgrade everybody here, so I don't have to pay for it later. Pay 20 grand later.
The match starts soon.
Yeah, like these tile icons on the right-hand side of the start menu. That's what I don't like. That's like the Windows 8 stuff. I didn't like that look. I like the good old-fashioned, just normal start menu.
Hold on to your
I do
points.
too.
Seize theirs.
But I hardly ever click into the start menu because you can do everything by just hitting your start button on your keyboard and just type it in whatever you want. Once you get that habit, you don't ever even click in there.
Point B belongs to you. The enemy.
Well, doesn't that
Point A.
pop up the start menu?
Yeah, but I mean, you just
I don't want to see it. It just, I think it looks dumb, because I don't know why every single website is going with this whole scrolling down to read information with all these like they just dumbed everything down and simplified it when it comes to websites now. But I don't like it. I don't like the way that websites are set up now for the most part. You know what I'm talking about, where you scroll down and each section is like an entire page, and you gotta like, it's like a whole banner, and then you scroll down and you get to like the next section, and it's like you have to scroll through all this insane visuals, which is really just a bunch of advertising to make it look pretty and to make you think that they're not trying to sell you something or some, I don't know. No. It's really obnoxious. Everything's been dumbed down to just a bunch of images now.
yeah, it's either that or you have the menu is all underneath of one little thing.
Yeah. I know what it is. It's almost as if people are, they just can't read more than one sentence anymore, you know? So they gotta like put a shitload of images and just break it down into like page after page of image with just like one sentence of text, like clickbait text of just like that's as far as people could read anymore. It's just something that is the length of a title. It's been bothering me.
Sweet, sweet treasure.
Crap. I just bought 62 sets of rare armor, and I meant to put in a buy order.
Like here, I'll send you Samsung.com/US. You go to their website. In order to navigate their page, you have to scroll down one page at a time, one whole page at a time, because they got these big images, and then it's like the choice is yours. Choose now and watch the best TV on our best TV ever. See TVs. Like, this is how you explore their website, is by scrolling through a bunch of fucking junk. That's just like clickbait titles with Samsung's front page. But some of the sites just go hardcore with this image scrolling,
Sweet,
like
sweet treasure.
mini sections, micro sections. It can get pretty bad.
Yeah, I seen it.
So yeah, Cortana records everything that you do, apparently. This is directly from WindowsCentral.com.
Sweet, sweet
Records
treasure.
everything that you do, gets it sent to Microsoft, and the only way to do it is to shut her off. Is, you know, you have to go tell her to stop getting to know me, then you have to delete all your personalization data from the Microsoft servers. You gotta turn off additional gathering options in Windows 10.
It'll fetch a nice price.
Then a bunch of things you need to know, and then wrapping up section. I'm just skimming over this page, but dude, I just don't feel like going through all of that. I don't need all this stupid bullshit. I feel like obviously they gotta cater to the crowd of people that don't understand how to use operating systems. That's where all of this is going. That's why I don't want to keep going down this road. Like, it feels like, as I keep seeing them, they're going for more of the visual, minimalist user interfaces with making it more difficult of all these options you got to turn off that you don't want. Bloatware, right? Like, I don't want all this fucking bloatware.
Yeah, I definitely understand that and follow that. Especially when you're trying to go to a control panel or something, and you just want it to look like the old classic small icons, and have it not treat you like a dummy.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Majority of their users are dummies, and that's why they have to continue progressing their product towards catering to dummies instead of, you know, keeping the same old interfaces. And plus they have to keep upgrading it to look like it's the next generation. They have to keep making it look like it's, you know, the next best thing. And like, I want hardcore facts of why Windows 10 is better for me than Windows 7. That's what I want. I want a real reason to upgrade to Windows 10. Not just because Microsoft said I should.
Yeah.
Eventually, obviously, though, unfortunately, at some point, there's going to be a game that I want to play that is going to be required to have Windows 10 or above. Or there's going to be software that's going to have Windows 10 or above. So unfortunately, inevitably, that natural progression is going to happen. But I've certainly never, ever jumped on the new operating system bandwagon immediately. I've always waited until it was at, like, basically at the end of its life cycle or near the end of its life cycle to get on it. Like Windows 7, I waited a long time to get on Windows 7. I held on to Windows XP as long as I possibly thought that I should.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure why, but it seems like it's always a good idea to skip an operating system when it comes to Microsoft Windows. Like, you shouldn't use Windows ME. Like, I know why you're laughing, because it was so ridiculous. But I feel like Windows ME, and then they had XP, which was great, and then they went to Vista, which was trash. You know, like it seems like they're going up, down, up, down, up, down.
It was not that good, but after they got all the updates on it, it actually became quite stable and good. It just required more RAM than Windows 7.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just heard too much trash about Windows Vista, and I knew that I was never gonna even touch it. And then Windows 7, I waited until it was really good, and they were done doing updates, and they had all their stuff out, and they moved on to Windows 8, and I skipped that. And I figured I would go to, I mean, the natural progression after that is to go to Windows 10. Then I heard all this bullshit of how they just want to start collecting all your information. They basically turn it into spyware, and I don't want that. And I want to pirate it too, and I don't want to deal with whether or not you're going to be able to pirate it without them trying to contact you and tell you that you're in trouble. Because I don't ever want to pay Microsoft for an operating system. I don't know the last time that I've given Microsoft any money at all. I don't want to. Yeah, they are a monopoly when it comes to the operating system game, because what am I gonna use, a fucking Mac? I'm gonna use a fucking Apple? Come on, get the fuck out of here. The only other option is to use Linux, but fortunately majority of games don't have OpenGL options, you know? So Windows is still the #1 option when it comes to gaming. And then they also have, you know, because they have DirectX. And everybody uses DirectX.
Yeah.
A lot more games now are starting to become more OpenGL friendly. But unfortunately, it's just not the mass majority, and it's definitely not the mainstream MMOs and stuff like that. I wonder actually if, I can't even remember whether or not Guild Wars 2 has Linux support. Does it?
I don't think so. I don't remember either. Without double checking.
Yeah.
Definitely has Mac. At least it was in beta last time I checked.
Goodbye.
Mac should be shit all over. They shouldn't get anything. They should just be like the odd one out. We should all just turn our backs on them and then just let them starve in the corner. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I used to know Mac really well, and I didn't really want to go to Windows. I think it's just about, I don't know. They both have a place. I guess a good thing is they're not in a direct competition with each other. At least I don't think so.
Windows and Macs aren't in direct competition with each other?
Correct, because they each have each area of expertise. Most music production studios, photograph, all that stuff, multimedia stuff use Macs. any businesses that do anything good use Windows. And it's going to stay like that for a long time, if not forever, because of just where they concentrate.
Good
You know,
hunting.
Mac doesn't really concentrate toward businesses.
Oh, I've always seen the CAD, the computer assistant design, using Macs.
Maybe. I support an architect firm that uses Windows. And then they use all their CAD files with Windows.
But that was back in 2000. That was when I was in high school, 15 years old. So, yeah. As a matter of fact, when I saw that, I was surprised too, because I thought Macs had died completely. But apparently they never really completely died out. It just kind of went underground for a while.
Yeah, that's been a while ago. They almost went out of business. Matter of fact, when I bought my Mac, the guy at Circuit City tried to talk me out of it.
Good hunting.
Circuit City. Oh man. I remember that business. I forget exactly why they went out of business, but they definitely went out of business. I think they made some really bad decisions or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why they went out of business either.
Up for the challenge.
In a few minutes, I should get going. Finish out my work day, probably.
Circuit City was founded in 1949, pioneered the electronic superstore format in the 1970s. At the time of its liquidation, Circuit City was the second largest U.S.